Welcome to iETV Live. That is, it's energy. We're looking for the solutions that energize us. I'm your host, Bill Rogers.
We're not trying to build an empire here. We're trying to build 50 or 60 or 100 little entrepreneurial things, but all that individual investment combines into a much bigger whole. Yeah. Without having to have the responsibility of $1 million payroll and, all these things managed from a single source. And in some ways, I think that's a model for success in the future. I think we all remember what happened a year ago with really large companies. Yeah. Some ways being small is sure, it's hard to manage cash flow, but you're also not susceptible to the big crash.
And the big difference with our model is extremely flexible, extremely resilient. Yeah. This year there was a lot of companies that took a beating holding too much inventory, but because of the way we're structured, we just kind of rolled right with it. Yeah. And we never really took a pounding like some of these other companies did. We didn't have the big layoff. We didn't have lots of people out of work. As a matter of fact, Jack grew double digits. We brought on new stores. I think we had 6 come on, another 9 are trying to sign up now. Mm-hmm. I think the thing is that our model doesn't have a top-down structure. It's really more of a circular kind of a structure network. It's not linear down from the top where I make all the money and everybody under me just gets screwed. Yeah. It's really, I depend on them, they depend on me. It's the way nature actually works, collaboratively, connectively, and communicatively. Those are the things that actually work in nature. So it's kind of not surprising that if you model a business, a pattern or structure like nature, that it would work. Mm-hmm. I think it's when you try to do patterns and structures that aren't natural that they run down their course and they eventually run out of gas.
Right, like a credit default.
It's
a little hard to get your head around, but here we are talking about real things, talking about real products, not to mention the societal benefit, the green jobs, green technology that this all.
Yeah, I'll tell you, one of the most fascinating things to me about this is that I've sold a lot of things to a lot of people over the years, and I try to be involved in good things, but there's something magical about selling someone a solar electric system and getting that first phone call that says, God, you should see how fast the meter's spinning backwards.
Hey, it works.
And the funny thing is, that's just the beginning of the virus. I was talking about this last night at a presentation. This really is a virus. You see the meter spin backwards, and suddenly it's like, honey, what can we do next? Well, the compact fluorescent light bulbs. Turn off the coffee pot. Don't use the clothes dryer. And it just goes on, and it's people get so excited about it. And it really is an opportunity for all of us to start a movement without waiting for senators and congressmen to beat each other over the head with large sticks. Right. While they're doing that, we can sneak up from behind and get the citizenry involved in their own energy requirements. And that's what I think it's about. I think it's about empowering individuals to do this.
And it's not dependent on incentives. I mean, incentives are nice, but they're really the icing on the cake. They're not the cake. We learned how to do this without incentives. We had to. We had to do it for ourselves, and we had to do it for our customers. And so we had years of figuring out how to reduce the load first, and then make the solar sale after. Or sometimes people say, well, I don't need the solar. I dropped my bill so much, why should I do that? But if you really feel like you want to get off the coal, and you want to get off the nuclear options, and you want to get off the oil options, then solar and biofuels and those wind and all that renewable stuff really fills in the rest of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Avery Lovins has been talking about these concepts and studying them and living them for quite a few years. And here is a commercial model that's putting it into practice.
Yeah, Avery Lovins, I've talked with him several times. There's a bunch of us that have been saying this stuff for a long time, but talk only goes so far. At some point, somebody has to roll up their sleeves and actually do something. And what I do and what Jack does is we actually try to help people get these things that they want them. We know they want them. We have to make them affordable. We have to make it so they can understand it, how it works. And then basically we have to get it to them and help them to be able to see the benefits And tell you what, they'll tell 2 friends. The next thing you got 4 friends, and next thing you know, you've got a business. It's not hard to do this. But what Jack said is what makes it easier is having the brain trust, having the buying power. We have like we're not a Walmart or big mega store, but we're getting to the point that we're buying direct from factories. Mm-hmm. And somebody might say, well, I can open a store too like that, but you wouldn't have the thousands of products that we have for the prices we have, mm-hmm. and ability to get them like that, and the credit we have. All this took years to build. It's 9 years now since we started. So mm-hmm. It's taken on, a point where we are rapidly becoming the nation's leader in retail solar. I don't even know that anyone else even holds candle to us. Mm-hmm. So I would say if anyone's interested in coming into this, come on in. The water's fine. We have plenty of other towns in America that need to have solar stores.
Great. Well, the conversation is going to continue. And one of the places the conversation will continue, we're leading up to NESI. We'll be at the NESI conference in early March. But the conversation just doesn't happen in one place, right? And that's what's really exciting. It's really exciting what you guys are doing, and what's happening in so many different places. I'm glad to be just looking at it and doing my own LED light bulbs or whatever I can, and it's a real exciting time.
It is. It's a historic.
It really is an interesting thing to me that we're not talking about lighting one fuse. There are 1,000 fuses all being lit at once here. And somebody asked me this last night at a presentation I was doing, and this happened in the 70s, and then the collectors broke down, and nobody did anything about them. And we had this brief discussion about how different this is. That as an example, how many energy committees were voted into existence in New Hampshire a year ago? It's phenomenal. Everybody is engaged. And I think that gives a tremendous amount of hope that we actually have the ability to make this work this time.
Well, the other thing, too, is I've often thought of that first startup that I was involved with in the late 70s and early 80s as a false dawn. That was, there was something coming, but it wasn't quite ready for prime time yet. Mm-hmm. But it was the start. It birthed something, and that something grew in the background quite by itself, quite organically, and then when it was time for the real dawn, boom, it was there. A lot of people don't believe it, but then a lot of people don't believe there's climate change either. You can have the facts, you can show things that work, you can show that they're beautiful, that they're affordable. Some people refuse to believe it. All we're saying is, hey, why not? Why not take a look? What do you got to lose? We actually might ensure the continued survivability of our species if we start to engage in these things. Even if everything was wrong, as I said, about climate change, we would still be better off economically and environmentally in so many ways to start embracing the concepts of these alternatives. Certainly, it begs to be done, and that's something that we're trying to meet the need to.
Great. We'll be back. And for today, that's the way it was. What is today? Today is the day after yesterday, day before tomorrow, and we'll see you again in that wonderful future.